Now that we have a better understanding of functions, we are going to go back into our code and we're going to perform what's known as a refactor. We're going to be refactoring the code. What that means is we're going to organize it in a better way, and this will then introduce you to the best way that we would utilize Python to be able to control inputs and outputs. And so this will lead to what we'll continue to do in future programs. So as always, we need to navigate to our folder. And we need to do a pull. Okay, and now I'm just going to open up Thony. And we want to open up the lab in Lab 4, and we're open up Lab 4.2. Alright, so we've made some fairly significant changes here in Lab 4.2. I'm going to take a minute to kind of discuss each one. As we recall previously, the function is being defined here. So this is the setup function. This is a very common practice to utilize at the very beginning of the code in order to set the code up. This would run one time at the very beginning. A lot of times we're doing our variable assignments. So here we have a variable assignment, this type of thing, as well as here we are setting up our board, our duty cycle, our frequencies, and so on. One of the things that is important to understand is the scope of a variable. What I mean by that is I've created this color options variable. Because I've put it inside this function, it is only available inside the function. If I were to call that function, or excuse me, that variable out here, it would not know what it is. In order to make that variable open to the rest of the code, I need to add it to the global scope. So here at the beginning, I've added the global scope for pin R, color options, red signal duty cycle. Looks like I've added that twice. Red color off time, pulse width modulated R pin, and so on. So global is one of the new things that we've added to this code. Other than that, I simply just cut out the code that was a one-time setup and I put it inside this setup function. The next the next function that we're running here is set the duty cycle. So once again, I'm identifying global variables, and you can do it this way where I do it individually, or you can do it this way in a list. Either way is fine. Alright, so here we just do the same thing. I haven't written any new code. I've simply just moved the variables and the calculations that we are performing inside of this duty cycle. Okay. All right. Now I have a print statement. The print statement is to set R to the known value, and that's just the function to be able to print. All right. Before I get to the while loop, I do this. I call the setup function. So the interpreter for Python is executing these line by line. When it gets to this point right here, it then pushes back up to setup. It runs all of this code, okay? And then it comes back down. Once it's run that code, then it enters into the while loop. It doesn't run this code yet, and it doesn't run this code yet, right? I haven't called the function. But you can see that I'm calling that function there, and that function I'm calling right there. Alright, so now we've moved inside the while loop. We have moved the question that we are asking the user. Okay, so when I ask the user for what is the color value for red, it assigns it to this variable set red color. An important thing to note is set red color is a global variable that I assigned up here. Its initial value is 256. If I come back down here, I change that value when the user enters in 5, and then that value is available for the user once I call the set duty cycle. So I call set duty cycle, and this global variable set red color is set and now available for this function. Once the duty cycle has been set for this pin, then I need to print out the information. So here I would say set R to the print statement is executed. Okay, and as soon as if the user presses Control C, that would break and I would end the program. Other than that, I would be able to continuously input in this value until the user decides to end the program. So take a minute to check out some of the different values and see what changes in your RGB LED.